everyone. Greetings from National Skills Network. This is Madhuri, and I'm back with yet another exciting and enriching conversation. And this time we are focusing on BFSI sector, that is banking, financial services, and insurance sector. An industry sector which is so very disrupted with technology, yet has interesting job openings coming up every time. It has issues with security, safety, and that creates another level of subsector which goes into technology and things like that. So let's go deeper into this and understand what are the requirements of the industry, what are the interesting jobs that are coming up in this sector. So I have with me Mr. Ambarish Datta, who's the founder and CEO of Talent Skillsvarisity. So welcome to this conversation, sir. Uh,
Thank you, Madhuri.
and also, Mr. Ambarish Datta has been associated with the finance BFSI sector for long, and he was also responsible in setting up the BFSI Sector Skill Council. So he's had a long journey in the skilling ecosystem. So let me get started by asking him about the need for skill-based education in this sector and what are some of the critical skill gaps that the industry is facing right now. This may sound like a very broad question, but you can narrow down by giving us few examples.
Sure. Thank you, Madhuri, and thank you for connecting to them. Glad we're chatting about more about the skill needs in the BFSI industry. So, like you know, and you mentioned, BFSI is obviously a very dynamic industry, and now coupled with the government's financial inclusion agenda, is one of the largest employment generator in the country. So, we primarily as an industry, employ close to about 80 million people, plus minus a few here and there, which includes about 10 million insurance agents. And the rest of them are spread between banking, capital markets, financial services, NBFCs, fintech, insurance, and the related business which we service. So it's a very, very large ecosystem of industry, and right from opening a bank account to buying mutual fund to buying gold loans or for derivative contracts. It's a extremely large and wide, set of offerings. In addition, there are other industries as well, like IT and others, where the need for BFSI specialists are also very high. So, for example, there is a very large investment banking back office operations which happens out of India, which needs skilled people. So, overall, we're talking about a fairly large population of people which the industry needs. Now, like every other industry, we've also had a fair amount of automation in the last few years. And two critical factors in the BFSI industry, which are strikingly different than probably the other sector, is that one, it is heavily regulated. So there are multiple regulators within the industry. And therefore, a lot of job roles mandatorily need regulatory certifications to operate. So, for example, if you want to sell mutual fund, then you have to necessarily clear a mutual fund certification offered by NISM and SEBI. If you want to sell insurance, then you have to clear an IRDA certification and so on and so forth. The second is we're also heavily automated and tech driven, where need for compliance, security, like you mentioned, is very high. So every job role is a combination of cutting edge skills with foundational regulatory knowledge. Because every job role, needs every employee to be trained, skilled, and at the same time also be compliant to all the rules and regulations. So yeah, I mean, as an industry is extremely dynamic, needs constant updates and renewal of these licenses multiple times a year.
Yeah, I think this is a wide range of opportunities which the industry has created, and like you mentioned, the regulatory aspect and the security things. I'm sure that has also created a very different kind of micro level courses and things. And now coming to the courses, the programs you offer from Talent Skills Varsity. I would like to know a bit about what are the sectors or the subsectors which you are catering to in the form of, let's say, purely skill-based certificate kind of programs or complementary programs, which can enhance higher education or those which are very employment oriented. So could you tell us a bit more about these programs as well?
Sure. So within the BFSI sector, we actually specialize in about seven odd domains. So we do capital markets, we do banking and finance, we do data science, we do fintech, we do securities law, and we also do financial journalism.
Hmm.
This is a very, very niche field, but this is a domain where we have done some work in the past as well. So these are the domains on which we operate. So our two broad subsets or substacks in this entire skills ecosystem is split into two. One is where we offer skill short-term programs, which
Okay.
focuses on helping students in transiting from college to workplace. Now, these are typically targeted for second and third year college students. And as they walk to the industry, we help them not just develop their skills, but we also help them acquire the regulatory certification so they're employable from day one.
Hmm.
Now, this comes in different formats. It could be a short-term program or it could be what we call a long duration vocational program. So one of our popular programs is actually a program which a college student can do when they're in first year, and they concurrently study along with us while they finish the college degree, so that by the time they graduate, they are day one employable from the first hour. So the bench time is low and they graduate with not just the vocational skills, but they also acquire regulatory certifications in the process. So this makes it win-win for them. So they don't spend time building vocational skills post completion of their graduation. And it also works well for a recruiter because they get people who are ready to start immediately. So they're basically productive from first hour, first day. That apart, we also run a lot of short-term programs, which basically help students develop skills on a particular specific job role. So, for
Hmm.
example, let's say a job role called mutual fund advisor. Now, this is a
Okay.
job role which is very focused, and employment opportunities are available with asset management companies or with mutual fund companies. So, we help students aspire for this job role, train them up, and then help them coach to clear the regulatory certificate. Now,
Okay.
that then makes them employable. So we help them transit along with other soft skills and leadership skills so that they move from college to the industry. So our goal broadly is to be a talent supply chain provider to the industry. So we look at what the industry wants and then reverse map it. So this is about skills. In education, what we do is we leverage the new NEP format, which allows flexibility and plugins with the industry need. One of the critical challenges in the university and college system for a very long time has been the university's inability to understand where the industry needs was and therefore make appropriate changes in their curriculum. Now, this is a little bit of a challenge because as a student, they have no visibility where the jobs are, and their curriculums usually have a lag of few years, which basically ensures that they learn something which the industry does not want or is already redundant. And by the
Hmm.
time they step inside the industry, they then struggle. So this either increases cost of training for the industry or it makes them unemployable. So, we've dealt with this in many formats. So what we do is we flip this around. We go to the industry, we find out where there are specific jobs,
Hmm.
understand the need, and then create a specific long duration undergrad or a master's program.
Okay.
So for example, we're seeing now a trend where pure finance, along with it, there is a large need for data and analysis for finance experts, right? Because not just finance, but finance also now includes a fair amount of analytical skills required. Now, pure finance courses didn't have so much of analytics, and pure analytic courses didn't have finance as well.
Hmm.
So we understood that as a need. We understand that there's a reasonable opportunity to create employment. So we work with industry experts, we work with our academic team and create a course which addresses this need. Once
Hmm.
we do that, we create a curriculum which aligns with NEP, go back to the university and colleges and run it through the board of studies and ensure that we run this as a niche course. So here they study over a 3 or a 4 year period, and then primarily take up these jobs. And because these are longish 4 years or a 2 year master's program, what we also do is include emerging subjects in it, because what we don't want them is to graduate with again redundant skills. So we include emerging subjects like AI and other things so that by the time they graduate, they're at least fresh and updated
Right.
about the recent things. So these are our two broad stacks, and Like I said, our goal is to be a talent supply chain provider. So we understand what the industry wants and then go back and assist the students to primarily aspire for these job roles.
Yeah, I think this industry-driven, demand-driven model is something which is much needed. So
Yeah,
maybe it would be good to know a little more about how this works. Let's say, for example, is it like a degree program like a BWalk and all that, which we were using for a while, the
yeah,
nomenclature? Does it go under that? Or is there also opportunity, let's say, for universities to partner you? Because you mentioned NEP as well just now, and with my, during my interaction with other stakeholders, I've always felt that they are interested to explore such courses, but they don't know how to connect, like, like how to connect with the industry or a training partner or
yeah.
or an organization like yours. So, are you open to these kind of partnerships as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually work with universities and we also work with colleges. So, universities and colleges are actually designed as very, very structured organizations and not really open for these kind of plug and play, innovative, business model. And rightly so, because they're regulated as well and there are very tight structures on which they operate.
Mm.
Now, pre-NEP, they had a different world where, their curriculums were not updated for many, many years. They were not looking at industry demand. A lot of their courses didn't have components of skills, but that is changing because they realize that their own existence and with a lot of competition with foreign and domestic private universities, they need to now stay updated. So we work very closely with them and we assist them in bringing feedback from the industry and sharing that how there are newer industry gaps and need for skilled people and how a college or a university can design courses to basically address that gap. Now, usually in the skill-driven courses, and the need is to actually understand a delicate balance between foundational courses and the skill-driven courses. So, the objective is not to replace the entirely foundation subjects by all skill courses and vice versa. So it needs a closer coordination between the university academic team and our team where we sit down together and then we create a curriculum which basically balances both. So we work within the credit system, the credit arts, and we'll be more than happy to talk to more colleges and universities who are keen to explore a tie-up. Now, along with these value adds that we bring on table, we also assist them in delivering these programs and also placement of these students.
Okay.
So this assists colleges and universities to demonstrate their capabilities during the NAC review as well as NRF ranking, and it also allows them to position themselves as a cutting edge university by doing this collaborative work.
Yeah. So does this also follow like NSQF kind of alignment in the?
So yes, we do aspire to integrate NSQ. Of course, so the only problem with the NSQF system, and you've been part of this entire ecosystem for quite a while, is that the NSQF process also has now ended up bringing a fair amount of lag. And given that we work in an industry where changes are very very rapid, the NSQFs have often struggled to stay competitive.
Mhm.
The second challenge is that the NSQF system actually works independent to the credit system the NEP follows in university.
Hmm.
So, for example, the NSQF probably has number of hours which don't align with what the university, credit for a major subject is. So that needs a little bit of calibration. But while we necessarily may not use an NSQF subject per se or a NSQF, NOS or an occupational standard per se, we do build similar occupation standards, which aligns with what the industry needs now.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just mentioned about industry alignment, the importance of it. So for our audience, probably they would like to know more about how this alignment happens and how does an educational institution really collaborate with the industry and sustain it for a longer duration. So what would be your advice and how can somebody, really get started on this?
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty tough job, primarily because in our country where we don't do a labor market survey, it is very difficult as an independent training education provider to be aligned with the industry. Now, if you look at it from our perspective, from an from a education training providers perspective, there are only actually four things which I want to know from them. I want
Mm,
to know what skill people do they want. I want to know where they want. I want
mm,
to know when they want, and I want to know what cost they want. So that back end, when I'm building that supply chain, I don't skill someone at Jaipur for a job which opens up in Coimbatore, because I can't, this necessarily doesn't address their problem or need of hiring people and getting skilled people, and it also necessarily does not address the need for a student to get a job post an employability course. Now, these four inputs actually are very difficult to get from the industry. And unlike the other countries where there is a formal labor market survey, we have informal labor market survey where this has to be collected through intelligence and other networks to be able to get a sense of where it is. And this could be triggered with a lot of other reasons. It could be because of competitiveness, it could be because of lack of transparency and stuff like that. But this is indeed the biggest challenge to solve. So, if these four factors can be considered, and one knows that okay, this is where the need is, then it also allows the provider to understand what are the changes in job roles that are happening. So, one of the things with the large automation in our BFSI industry is that a lot of job roles often get redundant very soon.
mm,
Now, this inflow of information needs to be relayed to us very, very quickly. So, imagine you're training for a typist, but that role is dead for a while, but you've already trained, let's say, thousands of typists. Now, they won't obviously get any job. And therefore, it's a balance between upskill and reskill.
mm.
So, if there's a job which is getting redundant, then you kind of do reskilling and move them to other job opportunities which comes by. And at the same time, you also ensure that the new students or new graduates who are getting to the job employment market, they get skilled on the actual job role that one needs to. So these are four factors which needs to be done. And I think from the industry perspective, it's very simple. They want skilled people and they want always just in time. So which basically means that you can't build a very large inventory and store it.
Yeah,
Because if these four questions are not available, you will never be able to store an inventory, right? Because
yeah.
you might skill everyone in Delhi where the jobs are in Bangalore. Now
Mm.
that won't work because that's not how it will eventually pan. Yeah.
Yeah. Now coming to the technology part, in this industry, and also like some advice probably to the young people who would be interested to join this industry. I see this mostly as an aspirational space and very organized compared to other industry sectors which
Yeah.
we talk about in the skilling ecosystem. So, what would be your advice to young people, let's say, to build their careers, starting with courses in financial literacy, and now that CBSE is also offering, courses in the BFSI sector as one of the skill-based courses. So, what would be your advice for them to build a career, a favorable career, which is also rewarding in this sector?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think what's important for everyone to know is that uh, we are facing automation and impact of AI probably much faster than any other industry, and that's actually pretty difficult to keep track of because every day something new is happening, new changes are happening, and we believe that the impact of AI will indeed take away a few jobs, but the new jobs will also be created. Now,
Mm,
for any young adult who are aspiring to this particular industry, I think there are two, three factors to consider. One is, like you rightly said, it's extremely aspirational, but it's also very fast-paced and growth-driven. So progressions are faster, and if one is skilled sufficiently well, then there are multiple job roles one can actually, aspire for. So right from sales to product design to risk management, to compliance, to financial modeling, to quantitative experts, to algo traders. It's a very, very large
yeah.
field. But cutting across all of these, I think there are two, three important things which one must have. So one is, of course, there has to be reasonable knowledge of quantitative skills. So because it's number and data driven, and in today's world with so much of knowledge available everywhere, even if it is not BFSI, ability to handle large data sets and understand and analyze and synthesize data reasonably well is a core skill now. It's almost like a life skill. The
Mm,
second is to be able to use AI tools very quickly, because what we are now seeing is that customers will expect people to adopt AI tools and use that to improve productivity. Now,
Right.
you need to know how AI tools work. You need to know things like what prompt engineering is, how do you work around the tools, how do you ensure the tools drive the solutions that you're looking for, and more than that, how do you actually problem analyze the problem statement that has been given. So these two are critical, and that apart, of course, there's a large box of soft skills which have become completely important. So when we talk about soft skills, traditionally we've always focused on skills like communication skills and stuff like, but that's not really what is required now. What's required now are things like managing conflicts, working with teams, ability to work with diverse groups of people. So the new generation which is walking in out of the workplace needs to know how to deal with conflict, because there will be difference of opinion. How do you put across your points well? How do you, work with others? Now, these are something which are very difficult to teach. These are traditionally not being taught in university and colleges. So, these are something one needs to develop along with creative skills. For example, data now needs visualization, right? So how do you present the data? You can do a lot of data crunch, but how do you present it reasonably well to stakeholders? Now this needs a little bit of creative skills, using the right colors, understanding what does a stakeholder want, how do you present that data in a very brief short format, and so on so forth. So these three things are extremely critical, and a lot of the learning is actually now outside the classroom. The classroom basically does just the basics. So a degree keeps them away from illiteracy, but the skill actually keeps them ready for employability.
Mhm.
So, the degree doesn't make them employable. The degree is only safeguarding them from being illiterate. So they will certainly be literate, but they will probably struggle to get a job unless they have the skills.
Yeah, I think that's something so important that, today the entire narrative towards, the importance of skills over degrees is coming back again and again in many shapes and formats. And I think
Right.
you put it very well, also mentioning the non-technical skills that everybody needs to get into a job and continue, and do well in the job. So is there anything else you wish to share with our audience besides all that we just discussed?
No, I think, as a country, I think we are in a phenomenal space today. If you are young and you're just beginning your career, there wouldn't have been a better time in the last 100 years to be in India. You talk to any senior leader, you talk to people who work in the country. I think this is the bestest time one can get. So for young people who are beginning their career, I think this is an opportunity once in a lifetime. Grab it with both your hands, but build those relevant skills to be able to take advantage of this. The next 30 years is going to pan out very differently than the last 30 years. Careers will be shorter, they'll be of different industry. Lifespan will be different, technology will completely be different, and maybe 30 years later, when we look back, we'll realize that it was a completely transformative change. So, for anyone who's now finishing college and trying to, be a part of the entire employable pool, this is the best time to be ever in. And I think if you're relatively well skilled and you're aware about what the opportunities are, you will certainly do well. It'll be very, very difficult to fail in this environment.
Yeah, that was really inspiring and also capturing the kind of change and the pace of change, that's happening at the workplace. So thanks so much for giving us this entire story about the BFSI sector and also the need for skills and how the courses and the curriculum and things are changing. So thanks
Pleasure.
a lot. And to our audience, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so immediately to listen to more such conversations and learn, talking to the experts and also connecting with them. And hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any update from us. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.